Okay, in today's video we're going to give a brief overview on how to use calipers. So calipers are tools used to give us a measurement on the width of either an opening or how wide the object actually is. So as we look at the calipers, we'll be using one that looks like this for the lab later on this week. Now you can see that there's one end is for measuring how wide things are, such as a solid object. This other end is to measure how wide an opening might be. So an empty opening and then the actual width of a solid object. Now here you have a dial that you can roll with your thumb, and that makes the calipers either wider or smaller. And let's get down to at 0. Now the scale on this particular caliper is in both inches and centimeters. So if we look closely, we got to look at where we're going to be measuring relative to our object or opening. So if we look at this opening here, we can see that the calipers are indeed closed. So this is our reference point. This is our 0 measurement. And you can see that there's a little line on the outside of this ring that's lined up right at 0. So this is where we'll start. So here we have a little screw that you can use to tighten down a certain measurement so that it won't slide back and forth. And you can feel free to take a look at that and figure that out once you get your calipers. Okay, let's start measuring an object with our calipers. Okay, so say we have our notepad and we want to measure how wide the notepad is. So what we can do is take our calipers and we use the adjustment knob to open it up. I like how an alligator kind of biting a log or something, and we'll squeeze it down until it's secure. Now at this point we can tighten it up so we can keep this reading. This will lock the caliper at this width. Then we can take a look at it and even remove it and get a close look to see what measurement we might have. As we can get closer, so it's kind of hard to see on this, but we can see that the 1 is right here. Maybe I can tilt it a bit, you can see it better. You can definitely see the 2. So there's the 1 that we have, and our index is right here. So we don't even have a whole centimeter. So this scale on the bottom is going to read in centimeters, the scale at the top is in inches, but we're going to be measuring using centimeters. So we can see that there's a 0.5 here, so we count the spaces, 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, a little bit past the 7, so I would say it would be 0.71 as a measurement. So we get the 0.7 by the whole unmarked intervals, and the 0.1 because it's just a little bit past the interval. So our measurement for this one would be 0.71 centimeters for our measurement. Alright, let's try something else. We'll unlock the adjustment and then slide it back to 0. Alright, say we have Albert Einstein, fresh from his action figure adventures, and he wants to get new shoes. So we have to measure the width of his feet here. So we're going to measure not the width, but the length first. Put his foot down there, as you can see. And place our calipers there. Line it up. We got our measurement. And let's see what we got on this one. Now, calipers are a little bit harder to see because you don't get to see all the numbers. So you have to look around for the numbers that we have. So here's Einstein's action figure, his foot measurement, and our index is going to be right here. So we know that it's greater than 2 whole centimeters. So we have 2 whole centimeters. We count the unmarked intervals, and we have 1. We have 1 whole. So we have 2.1. It's a little bit past the interval. So we would say it would be 2.1 2 whole centimeters, 1 whole unmarked millimeter. It's a little bit past that, so our measurement would be this one, 2.11 centimeters. Hole number 2, 1 whole space at our index marker, and it's a little bit past that for our estimation in the 10th place. Alright? Okay. Now, try another one. Alright, say R2-D2 was messing around with Albert Einstein, and they just got back from the Tatooine desert, and we need to see if R2 is going to be able to fit in the escape pod. So we're going to measure the size of his head and see what we're at and see if he can fit in that space pod that we have. Okay, so line it up like that, and look at it. This time, kind of give it, secure it and lock it. Take R2 out. And let's see what our measurement is. So our indicator right here looks to be right on, not quite to the 2. So it's going to be 1 whole centimeter. And then it looks to go, we got to kind of count the 5 over here. We can't really see it all. So we're going to estimate the 5. So we have 2 whole centimeters. So 5, and it's just, the index is 2 spaces before the 2. So it looks like we have 1.8 centimeters. And this one, we got 1.8 centimeters for the width of R2's head. Alright, so in those examples, we've been measuring the actual width of objects. But say we want to measure an opening. So when we're measuring an opening, we're not going to use this side of the calipers, but this side. So as we unlock it, we can bring it back to 0. And say we want to measure the diameter of the opening of this small beaker we have. So we're going to use this side, and using our adjustment knob, kind of put it in there, and we'll go until we can open up those calipers to the largest point. We'll lock it down so we get a good measurement, and slide it out if we can. We don't have to, but that one slid out kind of easily. And let's get a close look and see how wide the opening of this beaker is. Alright, so it looks like we have 3 whole centimeters. Then after that we have 1 whole millimeter. It's a little bit past the 1, kind of not a little bit, but in between. So let's estimate we have 3 whole centimeters. Right here. We count the space. It looks like we have 1 whole space, and it's a little bit past the space. So I'm going to estimate that in the 10th place as a 3. So the width of our beaker seems to be 3.13 centimeters. Alright, calipers come in handy, whether you're measuring the width of things, such as actual objects or the width of opening spaces. All right, thanks for watching.